We've got a big-time Duke basketball exhibition coming up this weekend as the Blue Devils head to Rocky Top to take on the Volunteers. What are we expecting in this one?
Hi, everybody. Dick Vitale. Hey, make sure you listen, man. The Locked On Blue Devils with J.J. Jackson. He's awesome, baby.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. It's so great to have you here with us today on this Friday, October 24th, 2025, as Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on inside the life of Duke athletics. On today's show, our good friend Josh Cox from Section 17 Media will be here on the program to talk about everything going on inside the life of Duke basketball, fresh off their exhibition victory over UCF, a big test coming up on Sunday for Duke as they head to Rocky Top. They'll take on the Tennessee Volunteers in what'll be a fun game Sunday evening. And then towards the end of the show, another season started in the association, of course, and yet again, there is no shortage of Duke basketball representation at the next level. So we'll talk about all of that and more with Josh Cox when he joins us here on today's show. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Go ahead and take an opportunity to watch us each and every day on YouTube as well. Like this video, share it with your friends. Your support with us here at Locked On Blue Devils means so much to everything that we're doing. So without further ado, let's bring Josh Cox on into the program. Great to see you, my friend. And here we are, man. A bye weekend for Duke football. We've got basketball results to talk about. There was a commitment earlier in the week, man. It's really starting to feel like fall.
Yeah, it's in that great time of year, right, where you still got football rolling, but basketball's now coming into the picture. And for a Duke fan, it's a great time. And it's been an eventful couple of days for Duke basketball. Obviously, got back onto the court there with the exhibition game. Got another one coming up this weekend, and it's a whole lot of fun. Fun just trying to figure out what this team's going to look like, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So I want to start with the exhibition earlier in the week, and we'll kind of set up what we're expecting for Sunday's game against Tennessee. And actually, what I haven't had a chance to spend as much time, Josh, is I want to start with what wasn't on the court for Duke in the exhibition, and that was Malik Brown and Dame Sarr. Number 6, number 7, 6'7", as the kids are saying these days. I figured I'd be able to throw one of those in there, Josh.
Did you do that? You can't. Come on.
It came to me on the fly. I did not prepare for this one, but a little 6'7" action. No Sarr, no Malik Brown to open up the exhibition season.
Yeah, and honestly, you could tell 100%, especially Malik Brown, because I think obviously with him playing at Duke last year, you know what you're going to get when Malik Brown's on the court, and especially in the first half, there were some glaring times where it was like, this is a Malik Brown moment, especially on the defensive end where, Duke desperately needed to go to switching 1 through 5. And it ended up doing that in the second half, just with different lineups and whatnot, but definitely missed Malik Brown on the court. And then I think one of the mysteries, right, of heading into this season is just how good will Dame Sarr be, and how much is he going to, how much is he going to impact legitimate wins and losses on the basketball court, or is he just going to be a nice piece that helps you out, every now and then, or is he going to be like a really dynamic part of what this team does? And we just have to wait another game or two before we see what he looks like on the court with the guys. But yeah, definitely two big rotation pieces. We do know that. Both Dame Sarr and Malik Brown are going to be in that top 7-8 rotation, and Duke was obviously missing that in this game against UCF.
I'm excited to see Dame. This is someone that, kind of underwhelmed in so many ways in the countdown to craziness, but everybody is so high on him, myself included, just with the numbers that you see, the past experience that he has playing at FC Barcelona. It's just so different when you come over to the college game. And these were the moments in exhibition play where it's like, let's get a better feel. And it seems as though it's not a guarantee that we'll see him against Tennessee. John Shire said after the fact that with Malik Brown specifically, he probably could have gone. They're just continuing to be incredibly cautious which I support in games that don't really matter. There's no need to put him out there. And then an oblique injury for Dame Sarr, and that one was a little bit more up in the air. So really didn't get a whole lot from Coach Shire in regards to what the plans were moving forward injury-wise.
Yeah, and I'm obviously no medical doctor here, but I think hearing the terminology from Coach Shire that said strained oblique, obviously that's not torn, which that's a major injury. And you're hoping that that's just a quick, brief rehab and getting him back on the court. But once again, in the day and age in which you live, you've got to be very, very careful with these guys. They have dreams and aspirations that go far beyond Cameron Indoor Stadium. And, part of taking care of your guys, not only while they're at Duke, but into their future, means, being very wise with them when it comes to injuries and how they rehab and getting them 100% ready to go.
So now you've got the big test coming up against Tennessee this weekend, and another opportunity for the world to see Cameron Boozer play basketball. And we were delighted in what we saw Tuesday against UCF. 33 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists. You had a chance to be there in the building, sitting right there near the action, Josh. And I have to imagine you walked away really impressed with what you saw at number 12.
I mean, he's a grown freaking man. I don't know what else to say. I mean, he's what, 18, maybe 19 now. I'm not sure if he's turned 19 yet, but he looks like his body looks like he's been in the NBA for 7 years. I mean, he just looks like that guy. And he's the kind of guy when he, Duke in the second half especially ran a couple of sets for him where he got the ball and was able to post up down on the block a little bit. And it was like, if he gets 2 feet in the lane, what are you going to do? What are you going to do, especially if he has his full, if he's got his full pump fakes and repertoire there for him at his disposal with 2 feet in the lane? I'm not so sure how he's going to be stopped. And that is during the offseason, I vividly remember us talking about him and us making the point that if he has his dad's game, right, Carlos Boozer's game, but adding in the modern basketball players, being able to shoot the three, handling it a little bit more on the perimeter, then that would be best case scenario. Well, I know we're only 1 game in. I understand that. But, man, if it doesn't look like that's what his game looks like, it's like Carlos Boozer's tenacity and hustle and his ability down low, but he's added that outside game. He can shoot the rock. He can handle the ball. I mean, I was color me impressed, man. He was a leader. He was emotional as well, which I think, not everybody is. He seems to be, and I think the Duke fan base is going to thrive off of that.
And this was against a high major opponent, right? It wasn't against a D2, a D3 school. I get it that UCF is projected to be in the basement of the Big 12, but that's high-level competition that you're going up and debuting like this. And there were other freshman moments that we'll get to here in just a moment for the younger guys where it took them a little bit to get going into the flow of the game and that sort of thing. It's like Cameron Boozer forgot that this was his first action in a college. Didn't it feel that way? He didn't realize that he was supposed to be, building up to this as opposed to just starring on the scene right away.
I'll say what it felt like. If you didn't know anything about the Duke team, if you didn't know anybody's name, you didn't know any of the stories, you would have said Cameron Boozer's the 4th-year player that's had 3 years in this system to build up. He's mature. He's physically gifted. And he's helping some of these young guys along. And ironically, he is the young guy. And it was very obvious on that court that he is going to be a dynamic player, playing way above, whatever you're thinking of a freshman. And once again, I'm not trying to hype it up too much, but he is going to be one of the 2 focal points of the offense with Isaiah Evans. And it's going to be interesting to see, how well they can play together. There wasn't tons of 2-man game opportunities with them in this game, but he's going to be one of the 2 main focal points of this offense.
Yeah. As we take a look at Duke going into the game against Tennessee this weekend, there are obviously questions in the backcourt that are going to continue to be discussed throughout the course of the season. We're not running away from that. It's a talented Duke team with options there between Caleb Foster and Cayden Boozer. We'll dive into that a little bit more after we take this first break on Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it all down. Duke football shout-outs each and every week. We got to give it to Cooper Barkate this week. 12 catches, 173 yards. He was all over the field. When the pressure was on, Cooper Barkate came through. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Cooper Barkate is on a streak. And just like he delivers for Duke football, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. DoorDash is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. We keep rolling. Josh Cox hanging out with me from Section 17 Media. Full basketball coverage for these guys, as we've talked about in previous episodes this season. So excited for their coverage. You to be on the lookout for that. I want to talk about this game coming up against Tennessee, and we'll continue the conversation we've had all off season between the dynamic of Caleb Foster and Cayden Boozer. And if the first exhibition was any telling, Josh, it's going to continue to be a conversation, right? As in terms of how exactly does this partnership, does this duo, how do they fit together? What do the minutes distribution look like? All of that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm as confused as I was before the game. Now, I mean, if you look at the play on the court, and I'm not even looking at analytics, I'm not looking at stats. If you just watch the game, Caleb Foster still struggles to play what I believe is just the modern basketball game. Honestly, if Caleb Foster was 15 years older and played in like 2010, I think his game translates like super well. He passes up open shots to get in the lane to see. I'm not sure what happened. That happens multiple times, and it's not just that. That's just one thing. However, you do seem to trust him with the ball, like he's sure-handed, plays good defense. Obviously, he is older, than Cayden Boozer.
Yep.
But that's the struggle there. But then on Cayden's side, I mean, speaking of being a young kid and really needing to, to kind of get his feet under him a little bit, the first half for Cayden Boozer was definitely a struggle. And I mean, he missed layups, and they weren't uncontested layups, but he didn't finish well around the rim.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed lost a little bit in that first half.
However, had his freshman moments, unlike his brother.
Correct. Yes, yeah. Correct. It looked like his brother was, 3 years older, right? During that time. And I'm sure he's heard that for the last 2-3 years, but, and I'm not trying to slight him in any way.
Right.
But then in the second half, you really saw Cayden. I feel like you saw Cayden Boozer kind of get his legs under him, begin to play, much better basketball within the context of the team. But once again, I don't know. I mean, we did not learn anything in that first exhibition game other than this is going to be a two-headed monster for the time being. And I hope for Caleb Foster's sake, because listen, I believe everybody that follows this program, there's a lot of respect for guys who come back multiple years.
Yep.
You're going to see it this year for Isaiah Evans. This is obviously the fourth year for Foster, third year, I believe. Third year for Foster. You're going to get the respect from the fan base. I believe Coach Shire, is going to give some respect to that. But, also there's the whole like talent and fit on the court. And, Coach Shire's also not been shy in the past about playing younger guys over older guys because they're just better fits for what's going on. So that is going to be probably, other than Dame Sarr's question mark to me on how good he's going to be, this is the biggest question of this Duke team that I want to see answered over the next month.
And in so many ways, it can have major implications as to how far this team's going to go and what they're going to be able to accomplish and that sort of thing. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, and plus minus, we go to it way too often. doesn't tell you everything, but it does tell you a little bit of something here. The fact that there was a 21-point difference from when Cayden Boozer was on the floor compared to Caleb Foster. Caleb Foster had one of the lowest plus-minus of anybody that played significant minutes for Duke in this one at +6. Cayden Boozer had the highest total at +27. Pretty telling, all told, when you look at these things.
Yeah, I mean, listen, plus-minus is, as you mentioned, it's not foolproof, but it does tell you. You know, if you – obviously this is one game. If you look 7 games in and the plus-minus for Cayden Boozer is still drastically higher than Caleb Foster, then – you know, the larger the sample size gets, the more it becomes legitimate, right? There could have been some things that happened in this game. For instance, Duke went on a pretty significant run there in the first half, the first portion of the second half, and it could have just been that, hey, Cayden Boozer happened to be in that lineup where Duke went to switching 1 through 5, and their defense really locked in, and he was the beneficiary of a great run, right? Like there could have been that, but we'll know that over the next 2, 3, 4 games. If that's just a one-off or if that is the way it's going to be. And once again, I have all trust that Jon Scheyer is not afraid to play the best players on this team, regardless of their age. I'll just say that.
Yeah. And so now we get another opportunity to see these guys coming up on Sunday against Tennessee to see if everybody looks a little bit more comfortable. You mentioned Cayden Boozer being sped up a little bit in the first half. A really tough sequence for Sebastian Wilkins when he got in there early on, and he was sped up. Couldn't figure out if he wants to dunk the ball, lay it up and in. There were a couple of shots around the rim where Nick Kamenya, it's like, you're going to finish this at some point. Nick was excellent just drawing fouls, and I think he's, as people are watching your reaction on YouTube, he's going to be a gamer for the Duke team. Oh. But just in total, outside of Cameron Boozer, this freshman class, we saw some moments where they were getting acclimated to the game.
Yeah, and to give Sebastian Wilkins his flowers, he came back in the second half, and you know Duke can't give it so bad. I mean, Cameron Sheffield is the worst player on this team. There is no Spencer Hubbard, there is no Stanley Borden. You know, there is no that. So like the worst Duke can get on the court, you know, is going to include a player like Sebastian Wilkins. And during that 4 to 5 minute segment, he was the best. I mean, he was the best player on the court. Offensively, especially for Duke during that time. Right. So I want to give him his flowers there. But we cannot talk about this game and not give a shout out to Nick Kamenya. Like, okay, the question mark about Dame Sarr, how good is he going to be? Obviously had the same questions a little bit about Nick. And I'm trying to figure out. No, I'm trying to figure out who to compare him to because, I mean, please don't just say Concanibal because he happens to be a white dude about 6'6". That's not it. Right. It's like he's got a little con in him. He doesn't shoot it as purely as Con. He's got a little con in him, but he's a much better defender than Con. Yeah. He's more athletic and he's a little bit bigger, but like there's a little bit of Gary Trent, like kind of dog in him, right? Like there's a little bit of that.
Connor gave me some Kyle Singler yesterday with the floppy
Kyle
hair.
Singler, bad timing on that.
Right.
But anyway, hopefully, anyway, that's terrible. But yeah, I mean, there is some Kyle Singler play there. There's a little bit of like that. If there's going to be a player who has blood on his jersey the most this season, it's going to be him.
Yep.
It's going to be him. So, like, whatever player that is, that's him. And I will say Freddie Hodges from Duke Report caught a photo of this. I saw it. But, you know, he was the guy that was back out on the court after all the media work, after all that. He was the guy back out on the court shooting. And once again, I know sometimes that can be overblown. It's like, you know, he could also come and do that in the next morning, but it does show his mentality of like, hey, I don't like how I shot. I'm gonna get back out there and get some shots up.
Yep, absolutely. He's going to be an absolute ball player for the Duke team, and I'm excited to see the more comparisons that we can come up with along the way, right? But on the court, like you're talking about, Kyle Singler, I think in so many ways fits that, and certainly if people are unaware, it seems like Kyle Singler has found himself in some court troubles, and so best wishes.
And let me just say that, man. I mean, I think anybody that's been following the Kyle Singler stuff over the last 6 to 12 months, it's got to be some sort of mental health and some sort of substance issue, and just, I don't know, take care of yourself and take care of the people that you love and that you're friends with. I know that the Duke program has tried to reach out, and people that are close to him have tried to reach out to really to know response. And so anyway, I hate to see that, but obviously prayers to him and whatever's going on.
And now we'll see Tennessee coming up this weekend in an exhibition game, a team that Duke lost to in the NCAA tournament in year one of the Jon Scheyer era. If you look at this like a college career, that would have been freshman year Jon Scheyer. This is now senior season Jon Scheyer against Tennessee. And what's so interesting, I was looking before we started today, Josh, neither team has anybody on the roster that played in that game. Both teams, total turnover, and just a 4-year period. That would not have been the case. I know we keep harking back on the old days or whatever, but that's kind of an interesting dynamic. It's literally Jon Scheyer and Rick Barnes, like the coaching staffs are still put from that NCAA tournament matchup.
Well, and I'll even say this. I mean, look at what the Duke coaching staff, the transition the Duke coaching staff has had over the last 4 seasons. I mean, this is something that maybe if you weren't in Cameron, Evan Brads was really running that the drills at the beginning. It was funny too because it was the first exhibition. He was like teaching what he wanted them to do, and like it was like watching your like middle school basketball team trying to figure it out.
This is the routine before games.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, to see just even that turnover. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the thing that I will say though, the similarity that you will see from Tennessee and a Rick Barnes coach team is that they're going to be physical.
Yep,
they're going to be physical. I think it's going to be interesting with it being an exhibition game. It's like you want to play 100%, but you also like want to keep in the back of your mind that like this win or this loss doesn't affect.
Yep.
And I'm hoping Tennessee can potentially have that in the back of their minds a little bit. Like if there is a layup, like, hey, we might pull up and let the guy have his layup as opposed to like knocking him into the second row. Like they would, in a normal game. But who knows? I mean, you can't play timid, but Tennessee is going to be physical, and I know it's going to be interesting to watch a physical game in a preseason game that doesn't matter on the wins and losses.
Yeah, and then in the on-the-court stuff, the last thing here, Nate Ament, the star freshman for Tennessee. Oh, yeah. Duke was in it until the very end, and so many people this season talk about a big three of the freshman class between Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, and A.J. DeBonta. And then Nate Ament is right underneath them at 4. This is a guy that will be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft this upcoming season. So tons of great storylines to watch coming up this weekend between Duke and Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And basketball recruiting is fun to watch because you do get to, I don't want to say you get to know these guys, but as much as you can, follow them on social media and whatnot, you get to know these guys and then they pick another school. And it is kind of cool when you get to play them, especially if they're only going to be in college for 1 year. It's really cool when you get to play them. I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. There'll be a lot of trash talk between all the guys.
It's going to be epic. So we're going to be following on Sunday night for all the action. Going to the next level, Duke certainly continues to take over the NBA year after year. That's the case again this upcoming season. We'll dive into the numbers and talk some storylines ahead of another big season with Josh Cox when Locked On Blue Devils continues in a moment. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Really fun Thursday night game last night as the Chargers walk away with a 37-10 victory over the Vikings. NFL action this weekend. Our home state Carolina Panthers riding a 3-game winning streak, host the Buffalo Bills. Right now, FanDuel has Buffalo favored by 7.5. A lot of injury concerns at that quarterback spot for Bryce Young and the Panthers. So get involved this Sunday with FanDuel. They let you have player props, parlays, and live lines during the game. It makes Sundays so much fun. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download the FanDuel app today. To get started, FanDuel is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. The show today is also brought to you by our friends at Mazda. Mazda is moving the game forward for those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's also about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, just the passing attack that Duke had offensively. Darian Mensah could not be slowed down against Georgia Tech through the air. 170-plus yards to Cooper Barkate. We saw Landon King, Quayshawn Brown, Samir Hagans make plays in the passing game. It's so hard to slow down the Blue Devils, and they move that game forward for sure. When you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move or be moved, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. All right, ahead of another basketball season in the NBA, it's off and running. I've got Josh Cox here with us, and Duke certainly has their footprint all over the NBA. I mean, you look at these rosters, Josh, and it is so hard to keep up with who is where. So I actually want to start with the clip that Duke social media put out a little bit earlier in the week to start the season. Sophomore Darren Harris, one of our favorites on the squad this year. I'm certainly in the Darren Harris camp, as you well know. He was asked, how many NBA players from Duke can you name? Let's check it out.
Kaman, Cooper, Tyrese, Sion, Khan, Jared, Flipowski, D-Live, Tatum, Zion, Kyrie, Grayson Allen, Luke Kennard, Tyus Jones, Trey Jones, RJ Barrett, Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter, Gary Trent, Mason Plumlee.
Not too shabby, Josh.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. Because there's a whole lot of them. There's a whole lot of them out there to remember.
Yeah, I mean, you've got like Paulo wasn't mentioned, Brandon Ingram wasn't there, Jalen. I mean, there were more guys that could have been mentioned from Darren Harris there, but still, to be a 30-second shot clock on, you see how many of these guys you can name, and there are just so many of them to make sure you give a shout out to.
And here's the thing: it's not just that they're in the league; it's that they are, some of them are, the keystone players of their franchise. When you mentioned Paulo, obviously Tatum is going to be out, with injury for potentially the entirety of the season. But I mean, these are guys. I mean, they're New Orleans is building around Zion Williamson. I mean, and whether for good or for bad, they're building around Zion Williamson. It is what it is. And then anyway, it's interesting to see like Jalen Johnson coming back from injury, and like he was kind of like the rented brotherhood for half a season, but he has turned into like a really important and vital piece for the Atlanta Hawks. So, and then you got guys that have moved. You got like your both Tyus and Trey. Yeah. And Trey really, at least early on in preseason and first game, really looked good in his role in Chicago. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to see these guys.
And you mentioned guys contributing. I mean, Duke put this out as well. There were 13 Duke basketball players. I mean, that's way more than 13 that are even in the league, but 13 Duke players started for their teams on NBA opening night, as we've got a shout out that Duke tweeted for those watching us here on YouTube. Zion, RJ, Paulo, Grayson Allen, Gary Trent Jr., Brandon Ingram, Trey Jones, Con Knippel, Cooper Flagg, Wendell Carter Jr., Kyle Filipowski, and Derek Lively all started for their teams, and many of them put together really impressive debuts to the season.
Yeah, and then, also you have a guy like D-Live and Coop who just opening night just happened to go up against Wemby with 40 and 15, and unfortunately for D-Live, he had to guard him for a good portion of the game. And like, I tweeted from our pod account, in 5 years, Cooper Flagg's going to be on some podcast, and they're going to ask him what his welcome to the NBA moment was. And it's going to be his very first game watching Victor Wembanyama look like the best basketball player to ever grace the basketball court. So that was wild. But yeah, I mean, notably on this list, I mean, Gary Trent, man, I mentioned him earlier as a comp a little bit to what Nick Kamenia is doing. But man, Gary Trent's a guy that went in the second round of the NBA draft and really has had to earn everything that he's gotten in the league. And man, he just keeps doing it. He just keeps playing good basketball, keeps shooting the ball well. We know he's a dog, his mentality, his defense. And like, shout out to him, man. I know we can't do that for everybody, but like, it's really cool to me to see Gary Trent Jr. doing so well in the NBA.
Without a doubt. I mean, Brandon Ingram didn't get to play for the Raptors last year. He was injured when the Pelicans traded him. So kind of our first chance to see how that looks. And the Raptors got to win. Him and RJ Barrett working together, both those guys in double figures for him. We just saw this summer all the guys that are rookies making their debuts in Summer League. Remember, Kyle Filipowski was the entire Summer League MVP and could not be stopped. That has transitioned into a starting lineup role for him. And Utah, they get a big win over the Clippers on opening night, which was a little surprising. But I'm excited for year two Flip, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got the green light. He didn't hit a ton of them, but he's got the green light to shoot from three, which is good to see that, the coaches have confidence in him. If he can shoot 33 to 35% from three, then there's no reason he can't average, mid double figures, 15 points a game this year for that Jazz team, because there's going to be shots to go around on that team. And who knows, there may be a Lauri Markkanen trade that happens, sometime this season as well, which would open it up even more for Filipowski. So, it's good to see our guys not only make it to the league, but get into situations where it seems like they're going to be used and utilized. Sure. So great for him.
Big time stuff for Duke, and excited to see how the NBA season plays out. Excited to see what this weekend looks like for the Blue Devils as they take on Tennessee in their second exhibition game. And then we can get ready for the real thing to start up the following Tuesday when Duke will take on Texas to open up the year. I know that you guys have a full slate of coverage for folks to check out. How can they support you, Josh?
Yeah, for sure. So new ats, they're at Section 17 Media. So if you can check us out on X and on Instagram there. And then we now have a public Facebook page that is Section 17 Media, if you can find us. And then YouTube is obviously the biggest thing that we do. I know you guys have a great YouTube audience here as well. So YouTube subscribing really helps us, Section 17 Media. So really appreciate the support. This is going to be fun. We're still trying to figure out our rhythm, what it's going to be for basketball. We don't want to podcast too much during basketball, because we know there's a lot of really good basketball podcasts out there. Obviously what you do during basketball season and during the off season for that matter, but then there are 2, 3, 4 others that really give high level stuff. And so we're just trying to be an addition to that. And it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Josh, it's great to see you as always, man. Thanks for being here today. Have a good weekend.
JJ.
That's Josh Cox joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. And that's going to bring our show today to a close. Thank you to everybody for your support. As always, please do us a favor. Subscribe to the YouTube feed. Subscribe to us wherever it is that you get your podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you on Monday. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.